What's up, guys? We are back for another review, taking a look at a Star Wars line that I have never reviewed on the channel before. I've shown some off, but I've never reviewed them, and that would be the Star Wars Vintage Collection. For some reason, I have just not gotten into the point of opening the figures yet. I have a lot of them, but I have not opened them until now because we've got some heavy hitters that I really want to take a look at. So today we have got 3 figures to take a look at from the most recent wave. We've got the Rogue One SCARIF Trooper with some fantastic card art. You got him there looking pretty menacing on the beaches of SCARIF. We have got, from Return of the Jedi, we've got KLAATU, one of the skiff guards, with a shot of him there on one of the decks. Looks like he's on the sail barge there, which is maybe a hint of where he's going to end up. And then we have got the big one. We've got Yak Face here on just a fantastic card. You can see him there in all of his goofy looking glory. And these guys all share the same card back artwork as well. A bit of cross-sell and kind of a write-up of the line, but not really a write-up of the characters or anything like that. So yeah, let's do it. Let's pull these guys out and take a look. And here they are out of the packaging, guys. Again, these are the first new vintage collection figures that I have opened. I've got quite a pile of them going, but when I finally got a hold of these and I saw Yak Face, I just knew that I had to get him out. I do have the special one coming with the barge, so that's the one that's always going to stay carded. But these figures are really doing it for me just because of, one, the assortment for this wave is really solid. This is not the whole wave. This is just what I've gotten. And Yak Face and KLAATU in general are figures that I've been looking forward to. The SCARIF Trooper is one that was relatively difficult to come by in the smaller Black Series line that Walmart had exclusivity with a while back, because that's where he comes from. He's just a repack. So we've got 2 figures that people really have been looking forward to, and then one that a lot of folks maybe didn't get a hold of that is a solid figure in his own right, especially if you're interested in SCARIF Troopers, and I, for one, really like their design. And after watching this review, if you want to snag some of these for yourself, you can place an order on Big Bad Toy Store for these guys still. I'll put a link down below. But we're going to get started and take a look at each of them real quick. I'm not going to focus on them for too long, or we'll be here all day. We're going to take a look at articulation and then just kind of go through the details. So we're going to start with the SCARIF Trooper, maybe the least exciting of the 3 that I've got, but still a figure that is very good in its own right. So we'll go through articulation real quick. Heads are on a ball and goes back, forward, side to side, bobble a little bit. Arms go out, rotate. You have got a single jointed and rotating elbow. You've got hinged and rotating wrists, diaphragm joint, so move them all around. Legs are hinged. It's not a ball peg or anything like that. So they kick out, and then you twist it and kick forward. There is a thigh cut. You got a single rotating knee, and then you've got hinged and rotating ankles. And that's pretty standard for the line. Some are a little different. You'll see when we get Yak Face around that he's definitely the odd man out in this wave for sure, just because he's got a different body structure. But in general, this is a really solid figure. I don't really have anything to complain about. Again, he was from that 3 3/4 inch Black Series line that was exclusive to Walmart for a while, so he was a little difficult for some people to track down, and this is a good way for folks to actually get him again. It's exactly what you would think it would be. It's just a SCARIF Trooper. He's got his Stormtrooper blaster done up in kind of a gray, gunmetal gray kind of color. There's a lot of dry brushing all over this guy. He looks worn. He looks like he's seen battle. You've got the white stripe on his arm. You've got the red patch over here, and then he's got, you know, little adornments on his belt here. You can see everything is pretty well painted. I don't really have any issues with this figure. I think it's a nice entry into the vintage collection, and you know, it's a good figure for army building if you can find one, of course. And I just think it's a great design. I'm a big fan of the SCARIF Troopers to begin with. I'm a big fan of pretty much every trooper that came out of Rogue One, so this is kind of a no-brainer. This guy, the Tank Trooper, Death Troopers, the whole 9 yards, they're all pretty fantastic designs. I think they work really well, and this guy translates to the TVC line quite nicely. Next up, we've got KLAATU, one of our skiff guards. And again, this is a figure that we already know the fate for this guy. He is going to end up on the sail barge. This is one he's already got his home already planned out for him, basically. So this is one I know a lot of folks are really interested to get hold of. As far as articulation goes, he's very similar to the SCARIF Trooper, but slightly different. So the head has a little more movement on this guy just because he doesn't have a bucket on his head, so you can bobble a bit more. He looks up a little bit, he looks down better. Full rotation as well. His diaphragm joint doesn't afford a lot of crunch. It's mostly just rotation, so you can see that he can twist side to side, he can bobble a little bit, but he doesn't go back and forth too much just due to the sculpt. The rest of this guy is the same though. So arms out, forward, single swiveling elbow, you've got hinged and rotating wrists, and then everything the same is down on the legs. So he's pretty similar. Of course, he is not similar in terms of design and sculpt, and I think this guy looks absolutely fantastic. You can see he's got his kind of nasty sandy robes, lots of dry brushing, a lot of paint work. He's got his, of course, alien green skin with all of the little adornments all over his face. You can see his face is kind of sun-parched, and he looks like he has been in the desert for at least a few days. And then you've got, you know, the hair piece that kind of comes out the back here, which the kind of the under helmet, so the thing that covers his head that sits down there, and then he's of course got the helmet with a lot of silver dry brushing on top of the kind of red metallic color. So he just looks fantastic. We do of course have a weapon for this guy. He's got one of his skiff guard staffs here, done up in the same kind of color almost as the SCARIF trooper, so a kind of gunmetal-y silvery gray kind of color. Lots of sculpt on it, just a ton of paint work really for something that's that simple. There is a lot of work on there. So these guys are pretty well stacked when it comes to paint applications and just the general look and feel. So this guy is up there for me. He definitely very much fits the bill as far as an ultra articulated, highly sculpted, highly painted figure. And last but certainly not least, we have got the star of the show for more reasons than one. We've got our Yak Face figure, and this guy is the reason why I wanted to open these. I wanted to open him on his own, but then I realized, you know, I might as well just take a look at all three of them at the same time. This figure is absolutely stellar. I really have zero complaints about this figure. I think Hasbro has done a stellar job translating this particular character into the vintage collection, and he just looks so cool. I'm really, really looking forward to getting my Sail Barge exclusive version just to have him on that kind of throwback card back. I really do think that this guy is deserving of that, and I think that people are going to be really, really happy once they get this guy in hand. So he is pretty similar to the other figures in terms of articulation, but of course he does have a little few differences. So the head is on a ball, goes up and down, rotates side to side, a little bobble, but the neck is articulated as well. So it's on a ball as well at the shoulders, so you can move it around a bit. The hands, the wrists are vertically hinged, and then they rotate. Everything else is basically the same. You've got a kind of center waist cut. It's not exactly a normal waist cut, it's a little higher. But it allows for a little bobble back and forth, side to side, twist, and then all the other joints are the same. So legs in and out, side to side, single rotating knees and elbows, and then you've got hinged and rotating ankles. But this guy is really all about the look, and of course he does have a lot of stuff going on here. So not even is it about the head sculpt, it's just the entire body. So you've got that big furry chest with the furry collar that runs around from front to back, tons of sculpt, tons of paint detail. Of course he does have soft goods on, and honestly they hang just about perfectly on this figure. I think they work exceptionally well. Everything about them, there's just small folds in them, and just the general kind of almost vintage look to them. I know that's not exactly the right phrasing here, but they just look fantastic, and they very much go with this character. You've got his kind of weird claw hands with a lot of dirt and grime in there, his furry boots, the blue pants, and then of course he does have his very odd staff here with a lot of paint on it. Nice sculpt work. It's got kind of a patinaed look to it, coppery bronze color. But the star of the show, I mean, is really the head sculpt. Despite the fact that the rest of the figure is pretty amazing, this head sculpt is just out of the world. It's fantastic. The hair coming out of the nose and along the sides of the head, just the droopy eyes, that humongous nose with the mouth that hangs down. He very much, you know, it looks like the name that he has evoked over the years. Tons and tons of dry brushing that's up on the head sculpt just to make him look old and worn and sun-parched. I just think they did a stellar job here. Everything from the sculpt to the paint applications is absolutely spot on with this guy. It is the must-have figure for the vintage collection entirely since they restarted it right now. I think this is the figure to get for sure. It's just fantastic. They did a great job with it. So overall, this is a great batch of figures. Like I said, this is not the entire wave. There are definitely other figures. There's a Leia in Bosch disguise, for example. But these are what I have, and I just wanted to crack them out and take a look at them, and I really was not disappointed. It makes me want to go open the others, although I'm not so sure the others so far are going to live up to just how good this particular set of figures is. I think this is what we need to see more of in the vintage collection. More troopers, more aliens, just tons and tons of unique characters, because these are really exceptional figures. Great sculpt, great paint, great articulation for figures at the 3 3/4 inch scale. Basically everything that you might want as a collector in this scale. It's so nice to get figures like this that have great mobility, great look, great feel, while also being in this small scale. So if you're interested in these figures, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I would definitely recommend checking them out. So that's going to do it for this look at the Star Wars Vintage Collection, SCARIF Trooper, Yak Face, and KLAATU figures. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.